a second, please. Yeah. I am one of the co-founders of Agile Society Turkey. I thank you all of you for participating in our webinar. Today we have guests in attendance from all around the world, and I would like to thank Naveen for accepting our invitation. I personally know him for more than a year, I guess. He will introduce himself for the ones who doesn't know him before. Together, we organized an extreme programming training last year in Istanbul, lasting around 3 days. Yeah, 3 days. It was awesome. We, as Agile Society Turkey, a non-profit organization, are organizing seminars, webinars, trainings, events, participating or supporting summits, trying to contribute to the Agile community. You may follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, Eventbrite, and YouTube, or you can connect directly with me on LinkedIn for anything like cooperation opportunities, events, webinars, anything. Yeah, as I told before, we are recording the webinar for sharing on our YouTube channel. I hope everyone is okay with that. I would like to leave the floor to Naveen, but before, Mete, do you have anything to say, my colleague?
Yeah, thank you, my colleague, for this beginning. I also thank you, all of you, for your participation and for your support to the community. And I also thank to Naveen extremely for sharing his extensive knowledge about Agile, Scrum, and all of the related subjects. And thanks to all of you for today for being with us.
So let's leave the
floor.
Have
a nice journey. Thank you.
Okay, let's leave the floor to Naveen. Yes, Naveen, we are listening to you.
Thank you. You just need to enable a screen sharing. Host disable attendee screen sharing, so you need to enable in my case.
Okay. I made you host.
Okay. Thank you. So all of you can see my screen, correct?
Yeah, we can.
Good. So here we are going to talk about professional coaching versus agile coaching, or in short, you can say, I don't know what is coaching. So let's begin with that. That we used to hear a term called coaching. At the same time, we also used to hear agile coaching. And how these two go together, or are these going to complement each other, or is there no connection? So to begin with, it's me, Naveen, and I run my own company and do some other work. And yeah, a year ago, I was in Istanbul and had a wonderful day, 3 days, 4 days over there. What we are going to cover here, what is the agenda? This is a simple agenda that we are going to cover. What is professional coaching? What is agile coaching? How to become agile coach? And what are the opportunity for agile coaches out? Like what people look into in agile coach. Before we go here, I also going to have a very simple things to do. I want to know that who you are. Yeah. And then we'll, just give me a second. So let me share you the URL on your chat window, and then I will enable it for you. So here you go, and you will have 3 minutes to quickly fill, not even 3 minutes, I think less than that, who you are. And I think we are only 30 people, so keep writing it, who you are. Done. Anyone else is waiting? Okay. What professional coaches does? Have you heard about the term coach? What they do? Have any idea? What they do? And here is your next screen. Just quickly fill it, whatever that you know. What professional coaches does? Go ahead. We only have 8 people added so far. Whoever has come late, here is your opportunity to, again, I'm just going to put in a chat window. Good, thank you. Now let's look at what exactly the Agile coaches do. It's open, so you can keep adding it. What professional coaches do? If you go and look at that, what the coaches do, they operate into in a mostly, not only. We also have a coaches, those who nowadays talk about spirituality and healing. But most coaches, they work into in a executive leadership coaching or a career coaching, life and relationship coaching, or performance and productivity coaching within the organization. Now, these are the 4 wider area where most of the professional coaches work. But who define that? Who is coach? And what exactly the coach does? And unlike, if you look at it here, we say guide, mentoring. Unfortunately, none of this is true in case of coach, when we say professional coach. The only thing a coach wants it for you to find success and happiness on your own terms. And that's incredibly powerful force to have you in your life. It is not guide, it is not mentoring. But then who define that? What is the coaching all about? And in that case, the most credible organization that what we have seen so far is ICF. Started in 1995 by Thomas Leonard and supported by other. It is more as a platform to come and share that what the coach is supposed to do. Today, if you go to ICF website, and I have written here, is now completed 25 years. And what is the guiding line for the coach? These are the 11 coaching competency that the coaching organizes, coaching or coaches has to practice. And if you look at it here, you will not find anything like guide or a mentoring or a training, nothing as such. It's a very plain, simple job. And if you say very plain, simple, it sounds very plain, simple. But the way it happened is amazing. Like one of the things that we use there is called reflective listening or powerful questioning, creating awareness, self-awareness. So these kind of things happen in the coaching. I don't know how many people actually do this kind of coaching when we operate into in our Agile and Scrum or whatever that world we are into it. Is there any other body which is beyond ICF? Here are 4 more. those are equally popular. Some of them are regional. So if I say EMCC, which is more popular in European Union, Muscle Goldsmith is known mostly for a leadership coaching or executive coaching. ORSC is again extended from the same ICF, and which talks more about the system coaching. So today, if you look about the organization coaching, then ORSC talks more around that area. Coactive is something like ICF, which has a very rigorous process to be a coach. You have to go and attend a lot many trainings and demonstrate capability and all, and then you can be there. What is the misunderstood stances? That's where
Welcome. I can listen.
Where you go and look at it.
Coaching. A webinar. Okay.
Alberto, I think you need to mute yourself. Misunderstood stances for the professional coach. What you look at here is many people think that they are guide or they are counselor or they are therapist. These are not true. Coaching has nothing to do with the being a therapist or being a guide or being a counselor. They have their own job. These are separate profession altogether. So these are nothing to do with the coaching that what we look at in most of the time. And another area to look at it when we talk about the coaching, how the sports coaching is different from the professional coaching, or is it the same thing? What makes things different? And here I would like to take input from everyone that what do you think? What is the football coaching versus what is professional coaching? The one that I shown to you, and think about any sports coaching, maybe a football coach or maybe a basketball coach or a cricket coach, anything. How do you differentiate between these two? Anyone would like to talk about?
Yeah, professional coaching is basically an inquiry-based approach.
Okay. Now here is, I don't know if you all can contribute in speaking. Here I have opened a Menti and you can go and type in that how do you see the difference between the professional coach and a sports coach. Feel free to add it, whatever that comes in your mind. Because consider that coaching has nothing to do with guiding, coaching is not counseling, coaching is not mentoring, coaching is not teaching, coaching is not therapist's job. So how will you deassociate professional coaching versus sports coaching? So in a wider term, if someone says that, hey, I'm a professional coach, and someone said, no, I'm a sports coach, then how will you differentiate? Anyone? Feel free to add it here. Okay, there is no win or loss in professional coaches team. The sports coach is not on the pitch, but the professional coach should be on the pitch and in the game. This is what exactly I'm trying to say, but not the way you have said there. Football coach is often seen as expert. And when I say football coach versus professional coach, then you have to remember, when you say professional coach, then I'm talking about coaching as profession, where I don't have subject attached to it. When I say football coaching, then what is the important thing? There is a football. Then there is a subject attached to that. And in that case, coaching become one of the skill for the football coaches is not the prime goal. And that's where exactly the agile coach comes. So what the agile coach means is agile coaching is not just coaching, but is go beyond that. So we have a coaching, mentoring, guiding, consulting, teaching, facilitation, and then most likely that you do more into in a teaching and facilitation rather than working as a coach. So when you say coach is little bit different. And what is different? And that's where I was trying to highlight here, that this area, when you talk about active listening, powerful questioning, direct communication, creative awareness, these are the things that you do as a coach. And in that case, you don't have answer. What you do, you help your coachee to come with the answer. You ask question based on the keyword provided by the coachee, and which is called reflective listening, or active listening or reflective listening. And then you also ask powerful questioning. Powerful questioning is nothing that it has to have a power. Powerful questionings are, if you try to learn, often into in a two very simple step. One, don't ask question which start with why, because that's not your job to question somebody. So don't start with why. And second, don't ask leading question, ask open-ended question. So as long as you are asking open-ended question, you are not asking why, and your question has been rephrased based on the keyword provided by the coachee, that's become powerful questioning. So powerful questioning, active listening, those are like one of the things that you as a coach you need to have. But that's not the only thing. You go beyond that. So then who is Agile coach? So the people like you who can coach, guide, mentor, teach, facilitate agile way of working. And why is important here to say agile way of working? Because you are agile coach. If I say football, then I have to say that to go and facilitate football play. Or if I say that badminton, then I have to talk about the badminton. So then subject is attached here, and then that's where your expertise come. Now, who defined agile coach role? Any idea? Who came with this term? I don't know, so I have written on top. This is based on my knowledge and haven't gone in history much. Whatever I know from my own knowledge in last 10, 15 years working into this space, I have seen these three major changes happening in and around us. One, Spotify video. Spotify video, where Henrik talks about, I think in after almost 50 seconds, that Agile matter more than a Scrum, and that's why we renamed our Scrum Masters to be get called as Agile Coach. And since many companies have adopted this approach by introduced by the Spotify or a Henrik, and that's where the people start talking about Agile Coach. Another example is a Coaching Agile Team, a book written by the Lisa Atkin. And in the book, if you go, I don't remember exactly the page number, but it's in the first chapter itself, where she says that the Scrum Master who takes team beyond Agile practices up and running into their deliberate and joyful pursuit of the higher performance. But she also says that my basis for the team Agile coach comes simply from my past experience. And in that experience, he highlights that they were pretty much a Scrum shop, but they renamed their title as an Agile coach to accommodate other practices. And the third, which you look at it from the Scrum Alliance. The Scrum Alliance, this CSC certificate from the Scrum Alliance, it was earlier called CSC, Certified Scrum Coach. But then they recognized that there is a need to go beyond Scrum, and they renamed this certificate from CSC to CEC. And that's where now they say it's not certified Scrum coach, but it's a certified enterprise coach. And these are the three events which I see has a major impact on the term called Agile coach. But when you go and look at this, all these three sources, what they're trying to tell you, they are trying to tell you a very basic thing. Agile coach versus a Scrum master. And that's where I have a question for you. That how do you look at these two roles? How will you define, how will you differentiate Agile coach versus a Scrum master? What comes in your mind when somebody says, hey, I'm a Scrum master, I want to become Agile coach? Or hey, I'm Agile coach, I'm not a Scrum master. Then how do you go and differentiate? What comes in your mind when somebody says a Scrum master versus Agile coach? How do you differentiate? Feel free to add whatever comes in your mind. Nobody is going to judge you here. Time box, 1 more minute, and we'll move on. Okay, we have some input, but when we go and say, okay, I want to be Agile coach, what one of the skill that you will prefer that your coach has to have? One of the skill, and only skill, not more than one. Only skill that matters more and which is more important for you. I've listed down 5, 6. So it will show it on your screen. Let's join together there. We only have 14 people so far. Here you go. One single skill that you think is going to help you. You only have 30 seconds to answer. Why adult teaching is not important. And if you go and look at all these three sources, this is what they point. First, they say, practicing only a Scrum versus practicing multiple method. In all these three sources, this is what they try to communicate. Second, coaching one team versus multiple team. And third, supporting a Scrum team versus going beyond the team. So it's like I'm going to coach stakeholders. These are the three basic differences that I see it in their definition of agile coach. And as I said, I'm talking about these three sources. When you go and look at Lisa Atkin coaching models, and then you will find that the coaching is one of the stance, or you can say one of the skill, is not only a skill. So what I said so far, professional coaching is where the coaching is a profession. Agile coaching is just like a sports coaching where we have a subject attached to that. And when you have a subject attached to that, then we expect you that you are going to have expertise in that particular subject. And when I say agile coaches, it is pretty much like a Scrum Master, but then these people or these sources has differentiated or bring differentiation between the Scrum Master and Agile coaches. One is Spotify video, coaching Agile team, and a Scrum Alliance certification program. What they also talk about commonly, like that where they need to go and focus. So if you happen to go on a Scrum Alliance website, and if you try to get into that, hey, I want to become a team coach, or I want to become enterprise coach, or you go to IC Agile, ICP ACC program, which is primarily based on the Lisa Atkin, or nowadays the McKinsey and all, they're having academy where they talk about developing the coaches, which is based on somehow on a Spotify. So same three sources. You will see these are the very common things over there. So we say lean agile practices. You need to be really strong into the lean agile practices. That means you're talking about beyond a Scrum. And when you're talking about beyond a Scrum, you're not saying that you don't need a Scrum. It's more like how can we have such more practices, processes that enable team to do things faster. But strongly, you need to also look at development practices. And development practices not necessary that is related to the software development. It can be in other area like a marketing practices or a digital marketing space, or you talk about sales, or you talk about HR practices. So something like development practices means which is the practices which help your core business to grow. And then the scaling patterns. How the team is scaling out, like how when you have more than one team or when you have more than two team, are you aware about a scale design framework? Are you aware about larger scale Scrum? Uh, do you also go and talk about some kind of Nexus or some different kind of framework? So what are the scaling patterns that you see, and how people take it, how people take those patterns? And then look for the complementary practices. When I say complementary practices, maybe in a same Scrum process framework, we may end up having a design thinking or customer journey map or a design sprint or DevOps practices, all these which is going to help the process to improve things further. Coaching, make sure that we're talking about the self-awareness, empathy, reflective listening, powerful questioning, and designing action. And designing action is very important, because if your coachee is not having an action, then you will not be able to reach out to the coachee again to see that how the coachee has, where the coachee has able to achieve the goal or not. Facilitation is another strong area that you need to work on nowadays, and especially in a self-organized way, which is related to the conflict, or it can also be beyond conflict when you talk about facilitating events or meetings or any large gathering, or you can say the big room planning. So any such things, that what patterns, what practices that you use, how you ensure that every kind of people are participating into it. And then lastly is the teaching, because you are not just coach, you are here as a mentor. You are also supposed to be guide the team, and you can do that by teaching, and teaching adult is not easy task. So learn about the adult teaching practices. See that how can you go and encourage exploration, mindset, blended learning like training from the backup room, or mentoring techniques. So this will help you to do job better as a coach. People say in agile coach, is it just a coach or is beyond? And read something here very clearly. When I say read it here very clearly that I have written avoid as much as possible because this is NT pattern. But when you go to the market, then you will see that we have this kind of coaches. The most commonly coach that we see it is an agile team coach. And my team sometimes they use Kanban board or they use design thinking or design sprint, this, that, all this stuff. That means we are talking about I'm still at team level, but I'm not only the Scrum practitioner. Then you go and learn a little bit about the facilitation, like liberating a structure is quite common nowadays. Or you can go and read a book called The Skill Facilitator. So those things helps you to do a better job at this level. Then you go to the next level. When you say some people, it's not a level again. I'm only have written that how the people hire in the market. So most people I have seen that getting hired at this level, the lowest level. And then I see the agile coaches, which comes with practice, practice is specific. So somebody is a safe coach, or people write in a job that, hey, I need a less coach, or I need safe coach, or I need XP coach. Then we're talking about a very particular skill with having some strong subject area. And in that case, I don't really consider them as a coach because I feel that they are coming there as expert and they are supposed to be working more like consultant, where you give an answer rather than you help people to come up with the answer. And then you will see the third kind of coach, which is more like an agile enterprise coach. That's what the people call outside, which you're talking about that I don't limit myself to the development team or product owner or other area, but I go and coach enterprises. So that means I go and talk to finance, talk about the horizon-based planning or lean budgeting. Uh, I go and talk about maybe OKR to my HR. So you're talking about beyond your the team, and you're bringing the stakeholder into the picture, and you are serving more than one product group. And the next level, which I see, is an agile leadership coach. Many people have a title this is thought leaders, or I'm enterprise, agile leader, something like that. Mostly at that level, they're expected to work with the CXO level people to draft and transformation plan and help them to do that. But a good person, which I feel that can work on any level, doesn't really matter that I get a title. So if I'm a good coach, I should be able to work on any level and contribute. And if you're a coach, then you can work on any level. You don't need to really tag that I'm a team coach or I'm an enterprise coach. It is just a role. Maybe sometime I work with CXO, or sometime I work with the team, or sometime I go and do hand holding with stakeholders to help them to understand. So these are not label, but this is where the people usually get hired or people are working. How to grow as agile coach? In a very short or simple way, I say is look at into in a 4 different area. First, there is no substitute for learning. So you have to learn. Now, it can be the formal learning or informal learning. When I say formal learning, that means you go and attend a training classes, or you go and enroll for a long-term program into universities or colleges or wherever. You do some research work on that, and then you gain knowledge. Socializing through the meetup, webinars, group like the one that we are doing it. Don't just listen, take a center, stay some time, go and speak and share, because when you speak, you learn more. You need to really prepare yourself when you go and do that. Third, you are a subject coach. You are not just professional coach. So it's very important to keep track on your own area of the interest. Maybe I'm a software developer. I keep looking into the software development area, or you are into in a HR, then you have to keep looking what is happening in HR practices. So don't just look at the Agile Scrum. The deeper and the most respect come when you are able to solve the business problem. And it can happen when you really have a good domain knowledge. Domain knowledge is not something people are going to check, but that gives you the confidence while dealing with situation. So if you have an in-depth knowledge, it brings better out of you. It doesn't mean that you need to go and tell that, okay, I have an in-depth knowledge, that's why you need to hire me. It's not necessary. But for your own confidence, for your own betterment, you need to have in-depth knowledge about the industry where you operate. And lastly, hire a mentor or coach. I think throughout the year, I have at least one mentor and one coach throughout the year. Somebody somebody maybe from the US, somebody from the Europe, somebody from the Asia. I keep changing my mentor and coach on a particular area, but I go and I take help and I learn from them. I go and validate my learning. I go and take help. I do the same thing for the people, those who wants mentoring and coaching, but it's more like a long-term relationship where I feel comfortable in saying anything, whatever that comes in my mind. Sometimes you feel frustrated, sometimes something bothers you, and you can go and talk about it, and it helps. So it is more like an investment on yourself, especially when you are doing it more like a freelancing job like me, more like an individual businessman or a professional or a freelancer, whatever the way you can define. Those things needed. So this is the way I focus on what people look in agile coach when they go and hire. Coaching a skill, to be honest, very less hiring happen by checking coaching skill. When I say coaching skill, that means you need to set up a situation where you say, hey, here is a coachee and here is an observer and you are a coach. And the coachee has a subject. On the subject, you need to go and coach for 30 minutes. How many of you have seen this kind of hiring? Now I see few cases. One of my old colleagues recently joined a pharmaceutical company as an agile coach, and he went through that. So few companies now they started looking into that how they can go and validate whether the person has those kind of coaching skills. Mostly people look at your certificate and then say, okay, you have done the CEC or you have done CTC or you are a PSM2 or blah blah. That means you know about this. So this okay. Another way that I look at hiring is that you write really a good experience report. But the experience report is not that I have worked as a coach somewhere. It's more about that what significant result that the company or the team achieved through your coaching. If I say in my last company where I worked as a coach, uh, the company grew at the rate of 23% when the competitor were only at the 7%. So industry was growing at the speed of 7%, wherein that company grew at the speed of 23%. And I had that experience. I know the data. I can talk about it. So I can write my own experience report based on what I have done. And that matters nowadays. Formal education, this is a common thing that everybody look at, but now they also look at that your learning path. Because when certificates or education become commodity, then you need to really go and validate the path. And this sounds better. And finally, nothing beats your recommendation, your positive feedback through the changes that you are bringing into the organization or a team. So this is something that I see the people look into in while hiring coaches for their organization. What you can learn or where you can go and focus um, in this three area, depending upon your interest, maybe the facilitation, coaching, and technical practices. Keep track on these areas, keep exploring something happening here and there, either formal or informal, go and learn about it. So that's all. I think I'm able to maintain time box so that we have 13 minutes left. Ilka, for question answer. And now make it interactive. Feel free and have discussion.
So I would like to ask if hi Naveen.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I just wonder as if agile coaching should be an official role in an enterprise or in organizations. Does this need to be an official role or official position? What will the coach full-time agile coaching in an organization?
It has to be a full-time role. Because now when you're talking about your organization moving to a self-organization and self-managed, then self-organized, self-managed team, they need someone to go and seek help, correct? So if it's not a full-time coach, then how the team will go and look at it? There can be another way to looking at it. There is a company in Netherlands, is a nursing service. They don't have full-time coach. They have a more than 10,000 nurses working in a self-organized way, but they don't have coach. Um, what they have engaged a lot many independent coaches, and it's more like that, hey, when you need a coach, you can go to person A or person B or person C. These are our designated coach from the company perspective. So that means the company has identified those coaches and team can easily go to them and take help. So either you can engage the professional coaching company or you can have agile coaches for yourself.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, I have one. Hi, Naveen. This is Sandeep. Yes, in the past, have had the privilege of attending your trainings as well. The question which I have for today is, in different leadership roles or managerial roles, uh, the expectation is also to uh, be a, let's say, a part-time or you know, to coach in some or the other way. Um, so yes, we are talking about the agile coach over here, but what would be your recommendation for people who are, let's say, in these kind of roles, maybe a team lead, maybe a manager, maybe a business leader? Uh, how should they, how should they include coaching as part of their interaction with their respective teams?
Coaching is a skill, and it's not limited to the professional coaches. Professional coaches take this coaching as a profession. So that's a different thing altogether. When I say that I'm a leadership coach, then I'm talking about that I know more about leadership, and then I coach in that area because I know about the subject. So that means we are talking about coaching as a skill, and I can be a football coach, I can be a agile coach, I can be maybe technical coach, I can be whatever it is. Now, same way, if I come to my organization, I expect that everyone know about coaching, because if you know about coaching and if you know that how to have active listening, reflective questioning, powerful questioning, creating awareness, self-awareness, these are going to reduce conflict and bring productivity in our organization. And I think that in many organizations, they already do that actively. I know a lot many organizations where people got trained, especially the senior management and their HR people, they go for a ICF coaching. Usually is a 3 days or 8 days program. So 3 days is non-certification. It's more like, you learn about the basic of coaching conversation and bring this self-awareness and all those area. When you go for a 8 days program, I think eight days or 12 days, something like that, then it's more like you are going to be on a certification path of ICF, which is called ICF SEC, which I see the HR people go. Another interesting terms that you come in a professional coaching, I know many company, I can just give you the example of one. I know the Rosa pharmaceutical company. If you become a director, you are entitled to hire a coach for yourself. Company pay for it. So we recognize the value of coaching everywhere. It's not that we don't. So if you are not an agile coach, doesn't mean that you don't need to know coaching.
Sure. Thank you for answering that.
Hi Naveen, this is Sunil Gulia here.
Hey Sunil.
And just a question that as per your experience, what are the 3 top challenges you see for Agile coach and how to overcome?
The first challenge that I just said, you don't know about the subject in depth and you just take a title. So you are an imposter coach. So that means you really need to break that situation for yourself. Second, when you do a coaching, if you don't have an in-depth knowledge about the subject, then the coaches usually answer that figure it out, or no, it depends. And people don't like those kind of coaches mostly. When you say that the figure it out and it depends, you need, when people, because you are agile coach, and then in that case, it's not every time you can just wear a hat of coach. You are also a mentor, a facilitator, a teacher. So you have to keep changing your hat to go and demonstrate that how it can be, or it can be a role model for them. So that's another challenge, that when you don't have a subject matter knowledge, then you struggle. And third, most important, that whose agenda you are running. Is it your agenda, or is it um, the team agenda? Because these are the three areas that where I often see that the coaches fail. When you don't go with your own, means when you go with your own agenda, because you have been hired and you have to prove yourself rather than helping team to overcome the challenges. When you go and work as a coach in the company, and then you say what challenges that you face in the company, you have n number of challenges, and they also note that they have n number of challenges. That's why they have hired you. So those challenges I don't count, because if there is no challenge, then why will somebody hire you? So they also know that they have challenges. That's why they have hired you.
We have 1 hour time box, so 5 minutes left. A few questions maybe.
Sorry. My name is Alberto. I am from Nigeria. In this part of the world, the agile transformation, agile coaching is quite relatively new. So what will be your advice for an enterprise that want to do transformation and they are struggling and you don't have a lot of resources within the community to support that endeavor?
Yeah. And you know that who from where I can get the best athlete and where can I get the best footballer nowadays? In which part of the world?
Well, maybe Brazil.
Maybe Brazil, maybe even Africa.
Maybe Africa. Yeah, sure. Anywhere,
correct. So there is certain countries those who focuses on, and they might be a little bit there. So rather than reinventing the wheel, I can go and learn from them because they have been doing something great. Correct. So same way, think about that way. That okay, there are the nearby country. There might be some people doing it something there. So contact them to learn from them. If you struggle. Rather than going and experimenting it, self-learning is really good. Online learning, there. You can always engage lot many coaches. I live in Malaysia, and I know many people from Australia, Europe, and all the places. They come here and coach a team here locally. So if you're in Europe, I mean Africa, I don't think there is any constraint that anybody from outside Africa will not prefer to go and work with those. If you feel that is important. If you can do it yourself, nothing like it. And it is a wave, to be honest. It is a wave. I mean, something like somebody might be just started 2 years ago and you are starting it now. So you are going to be again, you are going to be there where everybody else is the next 1 year or 2 years. So if you have started, then just hold your position. That's it. Means challenges are going to be there. And to be honest, if you go and look at it, you will not, nobody can claim saying that we have transformed the whole enterprise. So your transformation is also not going to go smooth. It is going to have lots of hiccup. Don't copy, experiment, talk to the other people. We all are here. So we can do that. Another question was here interesting. Agile coaches is successful or not? Do we have any metrics KPI? And I really wanted to answer for it. The only KPI that you have is the growth of your organization. Nothing, no other KPI can judge you. Your team can be awesome, but if you don't have an awesome product, you don't get anything out of it. If you don't have an awesome product, your company is not going to make awesome money out of it. So anybody has any question? I think we are just a minute away. And we'll share this data with you, whatever it is. You can read it, that how people have responded.
So can you share the slide to us?
You need slide. I will say
Yeah.
it to you.
Yep, I think that's a very, very cool slide. It's just short information, but I think it's just very cool slide.
Thank you. I will share it to you.
Yep, thank you.
So thank you.
So
I would like to thank everyone for their contribution. Naveen, I'd like to thank you again for your valuable information. So anything to say?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. No, it was really nice. I think we need a little longer time to talk about each and every slide.